Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Strato, and Strato has just released their progress report. Now we're just going over this at a high level. If you wanted to read it in detail, I'll drop a link to it in the description below and feel free to check it out. The first thing on the list is texture recreation. They've introduced a new texture recreation system. They say here it'll hopefully fix some issues and result in less deadlocks. The second thing on the list are changes to GPU channels, and they say the changes help stability massively. Next, they change how fence cycles and chaining works, and at a super high level here, it improves performance in certain games. They made some JIT updates, and they say they're now ready to run 32-bit games. This does not mean it's going to work on 32-bit devices. They're specifically talking about 32-bit games. And here's the information that most people are probably looking for, the release date. While they don't have a specific date just yet, they say we are happy to announce that Strato is set to release in the first half of 2024. We'll share all the details on the exact date soon as we get closer to the release. Now personally, I'm not too hung up on a release date for this one. I'm just happy to see that it's alive and well, and the developers are working hard on it. Let me know your thoughts about Strato in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about the PlayStation Portal, and the PlayStation Portal has been hacked. And this is a tweet from Andy, who is well known in the PlayStation hacking community. In fact, he's found a whole bunch of vulnerabilities for PlayStation over the years. Anyways, Andy says, after more than a month of hard work, PPSSPP is running natively on the PlayStation Portal. Yes, we hacked it. Now, there are a few things to consider here. Andy says there's no release planned in the near future, and there's still much more work to be done. The hack itself is all software-based, so there is no need to open up the device and solder stuff and muck around in there. And the remaining available storage on the PlayStation Portal is about 6 gigabytes, which may limit stuff you want to do. I don't know about you, but I am very curious to see how far this goes, and whether or not it's a viable emulation device, or more of just an expensive novelty. Next up, we're talking about a miniature Game Boy, and Elliot Cole has a YouTube video here which I will drop a link to in the description below, and I highly recommend checking out. He purchased this thing off AliExpress. In the game cartridge slot is space for a micro SD card, and it actually plays Game Boy games. It appears they're selling for about $90 USD, and there are a few different colors available. I would argue this is more of a novelty item than anything, but if you are interested in something like this, let me know in the comments below. And speaking about Nintendo, next up we're talking about Nintendo, and Nintendo has just announced a partner showcase for February 21st, so just in a few days. A partner showcase means third-party games. And on top of that, the Nintendo Switch just got a firmware update. Included in the update are some new phrases that were added to the bad words list, combinations of the word hate and hate, various death threats in Japanese, and stop being friends in Japanese. I guess according to Nintendo, you're always friends forever. Moving on, and we're still talking about Nintendo, and this time about Game Boy Advance emulation on Apple devices. And this comes from altstore.io. Happy 10th birthday GBA for iOS. To celebrate, we're excited to announce GBA for iOS has been revived for the new era of computing. Meet GBA for VOS, the premier Game Boy Advance emulator for visionOS. If you've got a Vision Pro, let me know in the comments below your thoughts about it and if you're going to try this out. Next up, I've got a very quick one. We're talking about Dragon's Dogma 2. If you're interested in this game, there may be a potential demo headed to Steam. Some people with a very keen eye have been paying attention to SteamDB and have noticed an interesting update. The timing of this one kind of makes sense, which makes me think the rumor is true. The game is set to release on March 21st, so there's plenty of time between now and then to have a demo. Next up, we're talking about Palworld, and it appears that Palworld is planning to roll out an anti-cheat, but an optional anti-cheat. They state that this is going to be an external anti-cheat, and it'll be released sometime after February. And they say in the case of community server, single player, and co-op, the use of this function is optional, and that's one thing I like to hear. Palworld still remains hugely popular, and I think it's only going to get more popular as it introduces more features. Let me know your thoughts about this approach to the anti-cheat in the comments below. Do you agree with it? Do you mind it at all? And speaking about approaches, here's an interesting one. Next up, we're talking about Call of Duty. And it appears some gamers are suing Activision for about $680 million for monopolizing leagues and tournaments. From what I understand here, Activision caps the league at 12 teams. The entry fee for one team is $27.5 million, I think. And on top of that, apparently there are some draconian contract provisions. Hector Rodriguez and Seth Abner are launching this case, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. And last up here, we're talking about MVG, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Modern Vintage Gamer. And MVG has just put out a very interesting video, which I do recommend checking out. It's called The Nintendo Wii U is a Homebrew Beast. Here's why. He goes over modding, he goes over game dumping, and a whole lot more. I personally love videos like this. They're very informative, and it's pretty neat to see what you can do with older consoles. I'll drop a link to the video in the description below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.